Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Honey, We're Home. I'm Nicole Pellegrino.
And I'm Caroline Crawford-Patterson.
And today we are so excited. We are live in the studio with a very highly awaited guest. We have George Baxter-Holder here with us. He has a trillion titles. There's quite literally nothing this man can't do.
Yeah.
He's a speaker. He speaks around the country for thousands of people. He's a trainer in aesthetic sales. He's an educator. He's VP of talent at SkinSpirit. Like, are you kidding? Executive. Yeah. And he's the author of a book on top of all of that.
A book that has a really cool name, too.
Yes.
It's really cool. Drug, Food, Sex, and God.
So
and it's good. And the premise is good. And we're going to get into it, too.
Yes.
Awesome.
George, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me, you guys. I've been actually really, really excited about this all week. So.
No, you're the best. Yeah. Did we miss any titles? Like, I feel like...
Yeah, you want to...
It's like, God, what haven't I done? You know, it's so funny talking, like, oh, I did that. Oh, I did that. Oh, I did a lifeguard. Yeah, I was a lifeguard. Yeah.
Like, oh, I forgot. Yeah.
And the most annoying thing about you doing all those things is, like...
You're good at them all.
You're good at them all.
Yeah.
You'd think you'd be, like, a pompous asshole, but you're actually very humble.
Yeah.
So, like, what? I don't know. You're one of those.
That's the upside of imposter syndrome.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
That's true.
God. To speak of the devil, literally imposter syndrome like crazy. So before we really get into all the ins and outs about you, your incredible background, your incredible career, and your advice about aesthetics and all of that, we have this segment we call the welcome mat. We've done it with one guest so far, so we're gonna.
But it went well.
With you.
Yeah, it went well. So we're gonna. Okay, so we have 3 questions.
Okay.
And you just give us like your top rank of the question or like the first answer that comes to your mind.
Got it.
Are you ready?
Okay, ready.
Okay, so the first question is, if you could travel anywhere right now, where would it be?
Guys, I would go home.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get to go home I just had my birthday on Sunday.
Oh my God, happy belated.
That's
right.
My 59th birthday, so it's a little stressful. But
That's a fun year.
And
if I look like that?
did nothing. Like,
Yeah,
I laid on my couch and my husband took care of me.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And
That's
so
a
I would
birthday
travel.
Well spent.
I would travel home.
Yeah.
That being said, I do love to travel. So, you know,
You'd only be home for a little bit of time.
And then I would go
But
to
it's
Europe
nice
or
to
something.
not do anything.
Yeah.
That's the best. I mean, truly, that's the best birthday well spent. I still can't get over the fact that you're 59. So we'll talk about that. Because
We will.
Give me what he's having.
Right. Okay. You go ahead. Question 2.
So the next one, what clothing brand are you obsessed with at the moment?
Oh, my. Well, you know, I would actually have to say the one I'm wearing. This is called Hockerty. It's a men's line. It's a custom-made men's line. And, you know, it's funny because it's custom-made, but it's not really expensive.
Yeah.
But they make suits, they make shirts, they make pants, they make shoes, they make overcoats, vests, like you name it. I have I have 2 vest shoe combinations that the fabric in the shoes match the fabric in the vest. I just love those.
I love that too.
Yeah.
John, my husband John, loves that too. Like when the fabric matches.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's underrated. It just makes your outfit look better and it's easier to get dressed.
Yeah.
So like that's a win. Is it a UK company?
I think it is. Yeah.
I feel like
It's a
that
UK
adds
company.
up. Yeah.
I'm almost trying to picture the
They're
logo, but I've
well-dressed.
heard of it. No, I mean, you rolled in. We're in the middle of Times Square, rolled in this spiffy suit, fresh off a flight, matching with the bow tie and the pink and the teal.
I can't even imagine the people you had to fight off getting here.
No, truly, you look so amazing. Yeah. And I just thank you for sharing that because we always get questions. Like, obviously, we know every women's brand, but like when it comes to men's fashion, our audience is obviously like all women, but they want to dress their husbands and their partners. Yeah. So we need that. So thank you.
Yeah, not all men are blessed in that department.
Yeah, no.
You are, though.
Well,
you are literally in our show
gene.
colors.
Yeah. Quite literally. It makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah.
You are in our colors. Nikki's obsessed with teal and green right now.
Yeah.
Or teal and pink.
It's big color combo.
You match better than we match. So your clips will look great.
Okay.
Don't you worry.
All right.
Yeah.
Good.
And then we know this because we were talking about it before, but what's your self-care non-negotiable?
Oh, my self-care non-negotiable is meditation.
So,
every day.
Well, every day. And I have an app that I use called Insight Timer. And it tells me my day count. Like I'm at 121 days right now in a row. And it just, if I don't do it, life is not as pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, you must be so zen.
Oh, no. No, I do it to stay neutral. I am not zen.
He's just a zen meditator over here.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you find the time? Because we met last week. It feels like we've known each other forever. But when I was talking to you, you were being so like focused on me and what I was saying, but your phone was vibrating and blowing up the entire time. I was like, I've never met somebody so like busy, somebody who's trying to be reached. I was
then like in the moment.
Yeah. So like,
that's a challenge.
how do you find the time to meditate?
Yeah. So I meditate first thing in the morning. If I don't meditate first thing in the morning, it's like,
disaster.
It's a disaster. When am I going to do it? I don't find the time. So I wake up, I get my coffee, I put my coffee in front of me. It's usually really hot. And so the 10-minute meditation takes it to a point where I can just like kind of suck it down and do the doom scroll on Instagram.
Yeah. So you're feeling like dead air almost.
Yeah, I doom scroll.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay,
not
good.
that zen.
We're like, you're like, I meditate. We're like, you're perfect.
Right. Do you feel like it makes you less like ADD? When you meditate?
So I'm really well compensated ADD. Like I'm not medicated ADD because we'll talk about that because I used to self-medicate. And so I can't take any of the medications for ADD, but I'm really well compensated and meditation really helps. So it's, it's just, it helps to like really kind of calm me down, but I'm still ADD. I'm just like not uncontrolled.
It's just that anxiety side of the ADD. It catches you.
Yeah,
We're all ADD.
I don't take medication for it either. But you do something that's creative. It's hard to have a creative career and do anything like that at all anyways. Like you aren't your full self.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That is a good point. He does do creative work. Like you wouldn't like VP of talent. Like that sounds very corporate, but you also do creative work.
Yeah, I still inject.
You did art on my forehead last week.
It looks really
and it looks
good.
insane.
No, it looks so good.
He's like dying to talk about it. It looks so good.
I'm like, can we just? So George quite literally did my Dysport last week. My sister would kill me if I called it Botox, which we'll get into the difference because I think like people don't understand, but. I mean, disclaimer before we get into all that too, I just have to say, like for this audience, we get asked about this all the time. We get asked about injectables and aesthetics stuff. I like by no means is this episode saying like, you must go get that now.
No.
Like we've never said that, you know, but I think the girlies want to know about it and the girlies want to get it if they haven't already. And that's with us. Like I've never been like, I'm so ugly, I need tox in my forehead. But if you like it, you like it.
So, it's like when I first got into this business, it was many, many years ago. 17 years ago. And there was this stigma around facial aesthetics. It was like vanity, and it's not. It's like I'm helping people build confidence that they didn't have. And it's like we get so caught up in those lines and folds, right? And we can do something about it. And it doesn't have to be overblown or anything like that. It can look very natural. Like the best compliment that my work gets is no one ever knows. Like no one ever knows that I have my work done. It's like, great, then I'm doing my job.
Yeah.
But to do treatments, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with doing them. There's really nothing wrong with seeking them out. So if any of your listeners like are super interested in just asking questions, they can reach out to me on my Instagram and just like DM me. That's why my phone blows up because I say things like this on and then my phone blows up.
You're like, DM me. We'll come on.
Yeah. I will answer you, but it's gorgeous and the underscore and then by George. And so gorgeous by George. And I just like, I love to answer questions about all things aesthetics.
I think people should know. I think we established, at least our generation established, it hurts more to not talk about it than it does to talk about it because then somebody you're not going to change somebody's mind. Like if somebody wants Dysport or Botox or some type of injectable, like they're still going to seek it out. It's just, are they going to seek it out secretly without the information? Or are they going to seek it out after talking to professionals and their friends and getting the 411?
And a good recommendation, good referral. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and so many people actually have it and don't talk about it. Like celebrities, public figures. Like I feel like everyone has something.
But they're starting to.
Yeah,
I mean, look at little Ariana Grande. Oh my God. She like stands up at award shows like and talks about, thank you, Botox. So is what she said, right?
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I love it when people do that. I love that. A dear friend of mine, Hermine Warren, who I hope she listens to this because I just love her so much. But now I'm blanking on her name. Who stood up? Who got she was in
Mikey Madison?
Hacks. She was in Hacks. She was on television.
Oh, you're the television girl.
It's gonna bug
the
me.
worst television role ever.
But she stood up and she goes, "Oh, and I lost a bet, so I want to thank Hermine for my Botox." Like and it was at this award show. It was like, then Hermine's phone blows up.
Yeah,
it's like, it's great when they talk about it. It's like,
yeah,
I use olive oil.
No,
oh my God, please.
It's like
I use olive oil.
That's J-Lo will die on that grave. She uses olive.
I'm like, J-Lo, your forehead's not moving. And there's more than olive oil in there, honey.
I deadass watched an episode of The Kardashians where they were like, I learned this from J-Lo, like, go to sleep with olive oil. I'm like, you guys just need to see your way out.
I'll get 17 pimples and 17 wrinkles if all I put on is olive oil.
It was like Jennifer Aniston 10 years ago. Yeah. Someone interviewed her for like a magazine and they were like, so you always say that like you don't get work done, but you haven't had plastic surgery, but how have you stayed wrinkle free?
Now she says she doesn't have plastic surgery.
Right. And she said, I never said I didn't have Botox.
Yeah, she does Ultherapy. It's a big.
What's that?
It's ultrasound.
This is what we need.
It's focused ultrasound. She does it on her neck. And look at that woman's neck. She and I are like a year apart, and her neck is beautiful. She looks like a little swan with her neck. I just love it.
Ultrasound therapy?
It's ultrasound, but so what the ultrasound wave does. So here's the thing, you guys. Here's the secret to aesthetics. Yes. It has to hurt.
Okay.
It has to hurt a little bit.
I mean, he's
because
right.
you have to create a little bit of trauma. Mm-hmm. Like so when you're doing the ultrasound therapy, the ultrasound waves go in and heat up the tissue like a microwave.
Okay.
Right? And they heat up the tissues, and then the tissues retract, and then they pull tight. Okay. Like if we're doing microneedling, the trauma of the microneedling gets the tissues to pull tight. It's just you have to do that. Mm-hmm.
I believe it.
Laser, same thing. All of that.
All the things that have the best impact hurt more.
Yeah.
Even when last week at the SkinSpirit opening at Nordstrom, which if you guys are in New York, you've got to go. It's stunning. I mean, I've never seen a Nordstrom footprint so large in my life. It's beautiful.
Stunning.
Yeah. Shop when you're done. It's beautiful. But someone was asking. Yeah, we have a code for you guys.
Oh, awesome.
Jackie gave us a code.
Oh, that's great.
For SkinSpirit.
Well, we're so fortunate. The collaboration with SkinSpirit and Nordstrom's is out of this world in the industry.
Huge.
And we're just really taking advantage of it. It's a great symbiosis of brands. So, we can talk about that a little bit if you want to.
Yeah.
But, it's just such a great, the relationship there is really, really good. It's a Seattle company. Our CEO is originally from Seattle. I'm from Seattle. And so, it's,
Seattle?
I'm from Seattle, yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, I was born in New York. So I'm a New Yorker at heart. I've got a little underbelly of New York.
No way.
So, I could tell.
Yeah.
He said he wasn't Zen. I was like, it's not. He's not West Coast born.
Yeah. But I went to college with the Nordstrom guys. So
nice.
No way.
That's a good connection. That's full circle.
Yeah.
That's really full circle.
You manifested that from birth.
But it doesn't hurt as bad as people think that it hurts. That's what I want to say is like the amount of pain people think that some things deters it. Right? Yeah. And it's like, it's uncomfortable for sure.
What, tox?
No, all of it. Like microneedling, like it's not comfortable.
Yeah, but we'll numb for that. The numbing cream is really good. And I tell people I don't use needles. I use rainbows and puppy dogs.
Nice.
You're gentle.
The rainbows don't hurt, and the puppy dogs have a little bit of a bite, just like a puppy does.
Oh, I love that. So. You did my forehead. You were gentle. I was one of those annoying patients that I was like, but George, I'm on camera for a living. I need to still have movement. You're like, you will still have movement.
Yeah.
How do you get a lot of patients like that coming in?
Yeah.
And how do you handle them?
Well, I know what the products are going to do, right? Mm-hmm. So like someone like you comes in and says that. I know that when I use Dysport, it's going to be a soft hold and you're going to have movement. I'm not going to cut the dose back because that's dumb. Dose equals duration. I don't want to cut the duration back.
Yeah. I will say the last time I got a tiny, tiny bit. I said baby tox, and it lasted for like a month.
Yeah. And I want to say on air right now, baby tox is not a thing.
Yeah.
Baby tox is not a thing. It's a
revelation.
It's actually bad for people to do that because you get these little inoculations of Botox. You can actually get resistance. There's some literature to demonstrate that. But if you go onto my Instagram, actually, I just did a post about all of this. I'm like ranting and raving right now about the appropriate dose of Botox and Dysport.
The appropriate dose.
Yeah. And it lasts the amount of time that it lasts. Yeah. It's not going to freeze you more because you did more. It's just dose equals duration. Period.
I love that you're debunking that because you hear influencers, a big influencer who I felt, it was like, oh, I just asked for baby Botox. Like baby Botox has become such a thing that like patients are seeing people get on social media now then going in and feeling like they need to ask for it. But it's like, no, trust your injector.
Yeah.
If you have a good
people
one.
come in and they tell me what I should do to them. I have been in this business for 17 years.
That's definitely
I have
annoying.
a doctorate in nursing and I study this all the time. I'm constantly in the literature. Don't tell me how to do your Botox.
Yeah.
Right. I love him. I love him.
It is hard. There's so many. There are injectors out there though where it is, you know, they do like a one size fits all for people.
Right.
So then again, just keep talking about it. You know, like make sure you're getting the right product. I don't mind saying this because I go to SkinSpirit now, but the studio that I was going to and why I haven't had it in a year is because I felt like I was metabolizing it so quickly that in the way that it was just working in my skin, I did not like, and I knew that it was a different product than I had before, and I just couldn't keep doing it. It's expensive. You don't. It's not worth it.
Yeah, it has to be worth it.
Yeah, you got to find the right studio, but SkinSpirit's taking care of us. We're jumping around like crazy because we're ADHD.
I love
but
that.
before we get into like the real nitty gritty of the aesthetic stuff, I feel like we need to talk about your literal background. You just mentioned you have a doctorate in nursing. I wrote an MBA from LSU. You're a registered nurse practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
Like what? You train and speak to 1,000. A doctorate. That's insane. So like, okay, you're very qualified. You have all of these certifications, all of these different accomplishments. But you have a crazy past. This could be its own episode.
Yeah, right?
But like,
Totally different life before.
We were asking you about it last week, and you were like, yeah, I was addicted to drugs and went to jail. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
So, like, if you don't mind, just like
No, let's talk about
a brief synopsis, because we love a transformation story.
Yeah, you guys, I graduated from the University of Washington. It was 1990, and I was bored.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was teaching computers, and I was bored with my life. And somebody offered me methamphetamines, and like for someone with ADD, man,
Oh God,
let's go. And it led me to this really dark place where I was actually injecting methamphetamines on a daily basis and selling them until I got arrested and went to prison for it. And you know, that was the transformational moment for me. Now, I'd like to say that was it. Like I never used again after prison. I got out of prison and I kept using.
How long
I got
were
out
you in prison?
I was in for a little bit over a year.
That's a long time.
I had a 3-year sentence, so I had 2 years hanging over my head. And I got out in February. My clean date is July 8th. So there was that period of time I was like...
You just went back.
Yeah. And my probation officer calls me one day and goes, you know, you've got methamphetamines in your system, and I'm either going to send you... You can either go on with your life and get serious about recovery, or you can go back to prison and do those other 2 years. And I was like... This boy is not good in prison. Like, it's not as fun as it says on television, right? Yeah. Orange is not the new black.
No, I cannot see you.
And I went to prison, and I went to prison a size 32 waist. I came out of prison a size 38 waist. Just a little bit over a year later, I completely fed myself this protective layer, and I just ate my way. And just to soothe myself, and it was, and I blanked out a lot of it. It comes back in little flashes and snippets. I was beat up in prison. I was, it's just like horrible experiences that I never want to repeat. Yet I'm willing to say that it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just because it opened
it was like hello,
and you're probably extremely grateful for your life that you've built now. Like it probably makes you 10 times more grateful
and empathetic and compassionate. And I'm not quick. Well, I'm quick to judge. I'm not quick to act on my judgment.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is like I came out of that situation, and then I went to work for this company. I ended up getting laid off because the company was going under, and then I went to nursing school, and I went to nursing school by accident. Like somebody said, "Oh, well, I'm going to nursing school." I was like, "Oh, I can do that."
Yeah.
Because I'm like a
Sure.
can-do kind of guy.
Yeah.
And so I went to nursing school, and nursing found me. The career of nursing is just like, it's so well suited to who I am as a person. I became a nurse. I became a nurse practitioner. I was like working in the ER and then working in cardiology. Yeah. And then I hated cardiology. Actually, I just didn't like cardiologists. But no offense to cardiologists that are out there, but it was tough.
Kind of like full of themselves.
It's. I'm sure they're listening, so I'm just going to.
Sorry if any of your husbands were like they're big assholes. No, doctors in general can be, and I can say that because my whole family is doctors. Like they've earned the right to be a little cocky, but like they are.
Yeah. Yeah, but they don't have to be.
Yeah, they don't have to be.
But then I went into bariatrics, which is a study of weight. And I was working for a weight loss surgical center. And people started losing weight really fast. And you lose weight everywhere. You don't just lose weight in your waist, your butt. They were losing weight in their face. And at the time, the lap band, we were putting lap bands in people. I don't know if you guys.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so
I think my grandmother literally got a lap band surgery while he was ill and then died.
Oh, God.
But honestly, he was like 600 pounds.
Well, lap band at the time
told him not to do it.
was owned by Allergan, which is one of the biggest aesthetic
Jenna's
companies.
competitor.
And you guys, yeah.
So Allergan owned, a bunch of things. They own Botox, right? So the lap band rep brought the Allergan rep in to meet me, and that's when I started doing aesthetics. And I started doing facial rejuvenation after extreme weight loss with these people that just was transforming. So I'm transforming their health and their well-being, and then I get to transform their face too. And it's like, that's why it's not about vanity for me. Like, it's a full picture. Yeah. And I've really been able to take people just to new heights in their life. Yeah. And that's what's so rewarding about aesthetics for me. I love it. I found it, and I've never looked back.
And
I quit bariatrics. And
I think because you've been through so much, first of all, that I was like, you're my favorite type of person. I love someone who was at rock bottom. And like you, not to like rub it in, but you were at rock bottom. JL is kind of the most, but I love a rock bottom bitch who comes back, with a vengeance. Yeah. It's so inspiring. Like, not only did you come back, you're at the top. Yeah. Like, you are living out your dream. You're helping others. You're doing meaningful work because you're making people happy, making them feel good. And I think your background all shaped who you are. I'm just like, you're one of those people who it's like your journey happened over how many years, but it sounds like it happened so quick.
Yeah. So let's, I went to prison in 1999. I got out in 2000. My clean date's July 8th, 2000, and it's the last time I used any mind or mood altering substances. And so it's, coming up on 25 years. Yeah. So 25 years is the arc of the story. But like in that, I started working aesthetics. And then in 2013, I started working for SkinSpirit. And, in 2012, I got my doctorate from Duke. I went to Duke University for my doctorate. And like, it's just blossomed from there. And then I was I worked for SkinSpirit as an injector for quite a long time in our Bellevue location. And then my husband wanted to move home to be closer to his mom because my mom had passed, and it was time to like spend time with Sharon, his mom. And, I went to the CEO of our company. You met her last week.
We love her.
And Lynn Hubeline she's the most amazing CEO, and now I'm my direct supervisor. And I went to her and I said, hey, I'm going to move, but I'm going to commute. And I commuted from Austin, Texas to Seattle. I would get on a 6 a.m. flight in Austin. I would be in clinic by 10 in Seattle. I would work until 9 o'clock at night on Monday. And on Tuesday, I would get up early and I worked 9 to 9. And on Wednesday, I'd work 9 to 3 and I'd get on a plane and I'd go home. And I did that for a year and a half until COVID hit and I could no longer travel like that.
Quite literally commuted from from
across the country.
Austin to
Every
Seattle.
Monday.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's insane.
When if I ever complain about living in Hoboken and getting here, it's 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
And it's crazy. I get on a flight now to Seattle and I'm like, oh my God, I did this every Monday.
Yeah.
Was that crazy?
Every week. A flight commuting. So those of you listening to this episode in the car right now, I know you guys listen on your commutes. Yours ain't that bad.
Sorry. We all went, went back to the office.
But you know what? That is a testament to SkinSpirit.
Yeah.
Like, I love that company so much that, and then they decided to put a clinic in Austin. So we opened up a clinic in the middle of COVID. We opened up a clinic in Austin.
There we go.
And I recruited the two providers that were there, Cece and Catherine. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where my recruiting hat came from. Okay. And I became the director of talent recruiting and started really filling up our, getting our platform available to these very, very talented individuals in the aesthetic space. And so, it's just blossomed from there. And now, quite literally, SkinSpirit is the, it's the foremost luxury med spa company in the United States. And it's really the way I see it, I don't really see it as a med spa company. It's a medical spa, and we are a platform for excellence. So we really invite like all these excellent providers to come and just achieve.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You have so much willpower, and it has. I just want to know, like, what it was like for you discovering your willpower, because it seems like the moment when you came out of prison, the moment of okay, I'm going back to this, and then to have this moment on July 8th, where you found this willpower, and it seems like it's in every other leg of your story since.
Yeah, I'm not sure it was that clear to me. Like, I just didn't want to go back to prison. Quite literally, it was like, I don't think that's for me. But over time, it's come clear. And actually, quite recently, really, maybe in the past 3 to 5 years, where I go, I'm really good at what I do. Yeah. And I can say that, not in a cocky way, but it's like, I am really good at what I do. I study it, right? Yeah. I've done the 10,000 hours to become an expert at something. Right?
Yeah, Malcolm Gladwell, right?
Yes, exactly.
I haven't read the book. I just know
you have to be an expert. Everyone needs to be an expert in what two things.
Yeah. I'm adding it to the list of this year. Yeah. So, so are you injecting anymore, or are you more just like teaching?
No, I'm injecting.
Or just me?
You enjoy? Do you feel like you always will? Do you enjoy that side of it?
I love it. Always is a difficult term.
Yeah.
So I love it. And if any of my patients are listening, yes, I will always be injecting. Because there's people that are like, no, you can never stop. So I do 1 day a week. And my schedule is full, and I love my patients. But I'm really busy as a VP of talent. Like I'm still really out there and developing our providers, and so that takes a lot of effort and time.
Like getting them into Nordstrom.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I want to hear about that.
Okay.
I want to hear about the Nordstrom partnership, because I do think it's cool that you have the brand, like it's symbiotic, and the match is so interesting, and it feels so organic, but to me, it is really creative. And I think that's really cool when you see businesses get outside of the box to develop those connections that work. That's
a testament to Lynn Hubline.
Yeah.
Lynn.
She is able to think 10 steps ahead and around the corner. Like she's, that's why SkinSpirit has been so successful. And then she's put people together and in positions to really help, get her vision pushed forward. And I'm one of those people. Like I can see her vision. I understand what she's doing. But when you're up there, it's like, of course SkinSpirit's up there. You walk up the stairs, it's like, of course it fits. It feels normal, right? Yeah. Because our brands are so symbiotic. It's like it's luxury, it's client focused, it's patient focused. It's not money focused or money driven. It's really about patient care, good medicine, good patient care. And that's what Nordstrom is about. It's about good customer service.
That's true.
They're not about the big sale. They're about the customer service, because they know that the sale comes from that. Mm-hmm. And the revenue is generated from being, a good steward of customer service. So it's the same thing for SkinSpirit.
And Nordstrom ain't going anywhere. It'll always be here.
Yeah.
I want to get into the aesthetics because our audience is like, some of them are newer to it. Some of them have been getting it. We're just all like fascinated by, I know you said like there's the ultrasound thing that Jen Aniston is doing on the neck. What other like big hot trends are happening right now? Because as a consumer,
and what do you hate?
Yeah, I feel like it's happening like so quickly. Like 1 minute, it's like the next big thing is lip filler. Then it's, all of a sudden chin, which I didn't even know you could inject. And I had a conversation
about like threads the other day, and someone was like, that don't do threads, and there's just
I don't even know what a thread is.
Social media is everywhere with it.
There's so much mixed message out there, which is why you really have to pick your place, pick your person really well. And there's some things that I don't think are good for my patients, but other people do think that they're good. Yeah. So, what I pride myself on is I'm science focused.
Right.
It's got to be backed by science. It's got to be effective. And so if it's not backed by science and effective, then I don't have anything to back me up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So when I see trends that are not necessarily the right way to go, right now the salmon sperm is like this trend that like the science is squishy. Like we're still getting science of it. Like it's sensationalized to call it salmon sperm because it really isn't. It's polynucleotides.
Okay.
Right? So polynucleotides that are well purified and everything like that may have wonderful effects, but they're getting injected because that's what people are doing in Korea, and it's not legal to inject it in the United States.
Okay.
So if you're getting polynucleotides or salmon sperm injected in the United States, whoever's doing it is actually doing it illegally. Yeah, because it's not FDA approved.
Does that spark concern about where they're getting their product?
No, not necessarily. The product, I mean, most of the medical spas, most of the injectors are really going to get products that are coming from a quality source.
Okay.
But they might be coming from a quality source outside the country. So they're not protected by, like, we have the FDA that protects us, however you want to think about the FDA. Like, who knows if it's still going to be around in the next week. But whatever, we don't need to get into that. But for right now, that's what we have. And the FDA is kind of our consumer watchdog that really looks at that stuff. So it's, we, as a medical professional, I inject things that have gone through rigorous testing.
Yeah.
Now, I may inject them in a way that's not approved.
Okay.
And that's called off-label.
Okay.
Right? So if I'm injecting, like, for instance, there's PDGF, platelet-derived growth factors.
Okay.
Right?
Wow.
Platelet-derived growth factors are fantastic for body tissues.
Okay.
And they can be injected because they have 15 years of science behind them, injecting them. Now, there's a new product for aesthetics out called Ariessence.
Okay.
Ariessence is a combination of PDGF with hyaluronic acid that's not approved for injection.
I want it.
Okay.
Right. Now, you can go and get PDGF injected, but you can't get Ariessence injected. So it's a little, it's nuanced. It's subtle, right?
Yeah.
And so you have to be careful and you have to ask questions, is this FDA approved? Ask your provider if it's FDA approved. If they're like, oh yeah, then ask for the proof of that.
Yeah. Ask for photos, I'm sure.
So as far as like what's hot, what's not, that kind of thing, I really feel like we have gotten to this space in injectables where we're really looking at patients holistically. We're doing full face balancing, full face rejuvenation. And that's actually the way to go. And it's not very inexpensive.
Yeah.
So to really do it right, it takes some money.
Yeah.
Could you mind sharing like how much is a typical facial balancing? Our audience was asking about cost a lot. It depends, I'm sure, on areas.
It depends on areas. It depends on
country.
On if you need bilateral work in big areas. So if you need bilateral cheeks, bilateral jaw, all of a sudden that one syringe is two syringes. Or bilateral temples, that one syringe is two syringes. So, I mean, you really can, you can get a long way in the $7,000-$8,000 range.
And the facial balancing, I feel like that does make like the most subtle difference. I've never personally gotten like the whole face balanced. I feel like I would know if I did. I know. Yeah. Well, no, and we'll get into that. We kind of want you to like tell us what you'd change about our faces.
Well, it's because we had this conversation where like Nikki and I both have the same good side, and everybody listening to this right now knows the beef.
Balance it.
And so, anyways, George helped us understand why.
Yeah, we talked about this. Oh yeah, right. It's in the skull.
Oh.
Your skull.
Our skull?
Your skull.
I have a big skull.
But one side's different than the other.
Yeah.
So you're going to have one side that's different than the other. Both of you have the same higher side.
And that is unfortunate for us.
Truly.
Well,
like, take my skull.
Only when you're taking pictures of the two of you together, because then you fight for the good side.
No, or recording.
Truly.
Oh, yeah.
Truly. In this right now, we're both on our bad side.
No, you're both on your good side. Well, you're both on what I think is your good side.
You liked our bad side better, which was insane. Maybe like men like our bad side.
No, I need you to keep saying that.
Men always like your bad side.
Yeah, that might be.
Yeah, the more you say that, the more Nikki's going to want to sit on this side in the future.
You're brainwashing.
I deserve a rest.
What is like the most common thing? Like, what's your favorite thing to be injecting? Is it tox?
Yeah, I mean, the most common thing and my favorite thing are probably a little bit different.
Okay.
The most common thing is neuromodulator. Now, I like to say neuromodulator because Botox, Dysport, Xeomin, all these products, they're not toxins.
Got it.
They're not toxin and they're not toxic. So to say neurotoxin is actually doing it and the patient a disservice.
No, that is such a good point.
And you should say that louder because it's the girls that listen, they know that, but they might have somebody in their lives that they need to tell that to that has some words that aren't appropriate.
They can go to Gorgeous by George.
They should just learn how to Google themselves.
And I did this thing the other day. I was like, when those bright ideas that you get, that's not such a bright idea.
I had one last night. Yeah.
Oh my god! So I'm going to do car facts. I'm going to drop micro learning while I'm driving.
Oh god!
So I've got my cell phone like in selfie mode.
Okay.
I'm holding it. I've got both hands on the wheel. I promise.
God, not a car video.
And I'm like, okay, I'm going to drop car facts right now.
Oh, car facts!
And I go into this whole thing dropping the facts about neuromodulators.
Speeding down the highway.
So neuromodulators, it's protein. It's protein that goes in and it changes what happens at the distal end of the nerve.
Great.
So that you can't move the muscle.
And this is like you said, sorry, not to cut you off, but people don't understand like the difference between Botox, Dysport, Xeomin.
There's Xeomin, there's Adaxify, there's Lativo.
And this is all of those.
So all of them come from the same source.
Okay.
It's a source of botulinum toxin A is what it's called. And it comes from the Hall strain of botulinum toxin A. And they're all purified down. And it's just a little piece of protein. That's all it is. There's nothing toxin. It's not botulism.
Yeah.
I used to say, all of that has been stripped away from this little bacteria, and it's just the little piece of protein that's the brain of the bacteria. I like to
think about that.
Yeah. All the poisons are, all the botulism is gone. All the toxins are gone, and you're just left with the protein. There's no bow, and there's no tox. In Botox.
Would you like us to help you petition the rename?
Yeah.
Right? We should trademark it. It's like face protein. We'll start calling it that. Yeah. We can have it trademarked by you.
Because I've been calling it Tox this whole time because full transparent. You guys know because you listened. My sister came on the episode and talked about how she worked for Galderma.
Yeah.
Who owns Dysport, which it's confusing because Botox is owned by Allergan, but they got the name Botox, and that's what everyone widely refers to.
Can someone tell me where the name Botox
Kleenex.
came from?
Yeah,
it's like Kleenex.
It's like Kleenex. Well, it's botulinum toxin.
Oh, God.
So Botox for short.
It comes
it's like calling a plant by its scientific name.
Yeah. I mean, it originally was purified out of a bacteria called Clostridium botulinum. That same bacteria causes botulism.
Yeah.
So that's where that whole mushmash comes from.
Okay.
But you're not eating the bacteria.
Yeah.
You're not like ingesting that. You're just taking the brain out. Yeah.
The scientists definitely... You know how sometimes you're like, this went through so many approvals and nobody flagged this?
Yeah.
You know, like...
Well, I always say, like,
in your face.
Allergan's so lucky they got that name.
Yeah,
I'm like, we
it's
all
the Kleenex.
say Botox.
It's the Kleenex of neuromodulators. Absolutely. Yeah. But, I use Puffs because Puffs is a much softer Kleenex.
On your face.
It's a much softer Kleenex.
I love
right?
Puffs.
If there is no Puffs in my local Walgreens, I will be waiting until it comes back.
The little
so that's the Kleenex you use.
Yeah.
So it's a very similar thing.
Okay.
The difference is not really worth talking about on here.
Got you.
Like all of them work or they wouldn't have approvals.
Yeah.
All of them work differently. All of them are priced maybe differently. Different injectors have their favorite. That's really what it boils down to.
Gotcha.
There is some difference between how much active ingredient there is in each dose of those. So there's an FDA-approved dose of Dysport. There's an FDA-approved dose of Botox.
Okay.
And those will vary. There's actually more active neuromodulator in Dysport than there is in Botox for dose.
Okay.
Wow.
And that's not me talking about one. That's just a fact of science. It's done a couple different studies that have been said that.
Do patients come in and they're like, actually, I tried this one. I like how this one like settles in better. Yeah. Is that a thing?
Yeah, they do. It's not really a thing, but they say that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you're not going to convince them differently.
Yeah.
I like when George is like,
yeah.
Like he's like, okay.
He's probably good at dealing with the annoying patients.
Yeah.
Like every girly these days is like, well, because like you said in the beginning of this episode, there's a stigma around all of this stuff. Like filler, for example. Oh my God. We've gone through so many evolutions with filler as a society. I feel like we all started where it was first came out. We were all like, we love it. We love it. Then TikTok happened and you saw people getting botched with it. And then all of a sudden the narrative became, we hate filler. But like low key, we all still got it. Like I don't.
Well, the pendulum always swings. We hated it before we loved it. Remember, it was like Kylie Jenner.
I love filler.
And,
my lip filler has changed my life.
Yeah,
like, same. I have slivers.
And filler definitely has its place, and it definitely can be done too much.
Yeah,
totally.
Right. But migration is just not really.
I wanted to ask about
so much of a thing. Migration is bad placement. And so it's, again, goes back to, I love my friend Hermine, going back to Hermine. Yeah. Hermine says it's not the archer. It's not the bow, it's the archer.
Yeah, got it. It's the artist. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I was going to ask about migration too, but it all goes back to the good referral.
It does. It, absolutely. And the thing is, there's different types of filler, different consistencies of filler for different things you're trying to accomplish. Yeah. This is the big trend that I love right now is regenerative medicine and regenerative aesthetics.
Yeah.
It starts with Sculptra, which is
I want to try that.
Yeah, I've heard things about this.
I love Sculptra. Sculptra is polymerized lactic acid. So it's, it is made in a lab, but it's L-lactic acid, and our body recognizes that. And what our body does with that is it builds a collagen complex through fibroblasts. You might have heard of fibroblasts. I don't want to talk too high science.
This is fascinating.
But that inflammatory process, it's a very controlled inflammatory process, gets fibroblasts to the area, and then it starts to build this collagen matrix. So it tightens the skin.
Yeah.
It makes collagen. It makes elastin. All that really nice healthy fat. It brings that fat back that we lose over time.
I want it head to toe.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. I want to just bathe in it. I want to be in a little bathtub full of needles.
Yeah.
And getting
literally, yes.
So it just pumps you. This is like me. Breaking it down.
The application.
So the application, it's not very painful. It is injected with needles, but it's not very painful. It's right under the skin, so it's a really superficial injection mostly. You can also do it deep, but I like to do it superficial. And then it's just feathered in. And then, you massage it. And what happens is over time, it's not immediate.
Okay.
So over time, over the next 3 or 4 months, all of a sudden you get this tightening of the tissue. This is why I don't look 59.
Is this instead of
your phone?
Yeah, wait, the Sculptra.
Face proteins and
Sculptra.
Instead of said face protein, or do we do it with?
You do it with.
Okay.
So it's a combination.
I don't even know what to call. What do we call actual Botox?
I'm calling it face protein. I think it makes it sound way better. Yeah.
I say neuromodulators.
Yeah, neuromodulators.
That's a big mouthful.
Yeah.
I'm on this kick right now to stop calling it toxin because it's just not
I think
toxic.
I like that.
Yeah.
We obviously have been doing it for years, but it is just explaining it. It's just it's nothing to defend because it's not a toxin.
Yeah.
And there's people that'll never come to that side, and that's fine.
Okay, stay there.
I don't have to convince.
You don't have to get face protein if you don't want it.
They want to grow old gracefully. That was air quotes. Right?
Yeah.
I'm growing old gracefully.
You're growing old gracefully.
Like,
I didn't
and my
realize
face is
my
full
muscles
of filler.
are moving less.
I didn't realize you had Sculptra. So like where on the face is the most common area? Like is
kind of in front of the ears, like right in here in this area. I call
That's
it the
a good area
supermodel
for
hollow.
me. Yeah.
But you can get like when you smile, you get those wrinkles that happens when you smile.
Yeah.
And that's really from that constant folding of the skin.
Yeah.
You know, and so if you can fluff that skin up, it's not going to fold as much, and that really is the name of the game. I mean, you guys have really young, healthy skin, but as you age, as the fat goes away, and that
you don't have to hype us up.
no.
No, well, for people like Caroline and I that have to stare at ourselves on camera for a living, like this stuff really does sound so enticing because truly, like, little things. Like, you asked me, like, what would you change when you were in, and I was like, well, obviously just, like, get rid of my forehead wrinkles.
If you ask us, we'll go on for years.
Yeah, but
people
I was
call it self-deprecating, but it really is hard. And then we have people come in and sit down to be interviewed, and they're like, oh my God, like, on camera, my skin. And we're like, right, like, there is a specific way that it makes you feel to look at everything so close up that you do start hyper-analyzing it, and that's just life.
And but it's not healthy either. You really have to. I mean, that's actually one of my ways to find a red flag patient.
Yeah.
Is I hand them a mirror as a little bit longer than arm's length.
Yeah.
And then I watch how close they get to their face with the mirror.
Oh, interesting.
Because it's a hyper focus. It's like, I just really hate this right here. You know, and then they start using hate language about their own face, and it's like maybe this isn't for you. Maybe it's like,
maybe something on the inside needs to be healed.
Yeah. Here, take my insight timer.
Just meditate. Here you go.
And olive oil.
Well, speaking of that, as I'm like, they need to look on the inside. I'm going to ask you next. Can you tell us what you would quick, a nip and tuck change about our faces?
Yeah.
Is that
but it's okay. You can't hurt our feelings because we already had this conversation.
Yeah. So, and I'll start with you, Nicole, because I've done a full assessment on you, and then I'll come over. I've got you. Pull your hair behind your ears so I can kind of study here. The ears. So, Nicole, you've got a little bit of hollowing in the temples. It's starting early.
You said you wouldn't be upset.
Early for you a little bit.
I'm 32.
Yeah, you're kind of young for that. So
the temple's hollowing.
Yeah, and so what's happening with that when temple's hollowing? The temple supports the brow. And so if the brow comes in,
my eyes are
my worst nightmare.
filling your temples are great.
Oh,
by the way.
What the fuck?
But we can fill out the temples a little bit, fill out the lateral cheek a little bit. That's going to pull things out. Now, you have this wonderful smile. I love your smile.
Thank you so much.
And that deep smile, that big smile, is creasing the skin.
Yes. And I'm very expressive. My face knows no bounds. I wouldn't be surprised if
you told George to make sure that you could stay that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we need to do some Sculptra in that whole area that I was talking about to support the folding of the skin over time. You don't need a lot of filler there. You just need Sculptra from your ear all the way to the corner of your mouth.
But my fear, and this is probably very common of others, I don't want. So years ago, I got cheek filler. And
you told me that,
I ended up liking it, and maybe it was just all at once because it was my first time getting a little bit of crow's feet tox, which I feel like if you do too much there, it can be so shocking.
Yeah, you're right.
I got that. I got cheek right in the front instead of on the sides. I should have kind of gotten, but it was to help with some under eye stuff.